But we're still taking your calls at the moment on this senior barrister, Barbara Hewson, who says that the age of consent in this country should be lowered from 16 to 13 to end the persecution of old men. Mal Fletcher is a social commentator. Mal, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
So what's your comment on this?
Well, I think that the fact that a reputable barrister should be calling for something like this is fairly reprehensible. I think she's using her concern, and it may be justified, for the elderly men who've been arrested on these charges of abuse in the 70s, to call for something that's clearly dangerous to the well-being of children. I mean, it's true that the combination of advances in things like pharmacology and healthcare have meant that some girls appear to be maturing physically faster than they previously were. And if you add to that, of course, the pressure on girls now to sexualise their appearance, it can seem that children are more emotionally mature than they actually are. And to take up something Tony said before, I think girls of about 13, or boys for that matter, are neither emotionally nor psychologically prepared for the type of informed, rational decisions that Sue was talking about before. We know that sexual behaviour is not just about rational decision, it's about hormones as well. And if we ignore that fact, I think we're abdicating responsibility as adults to prescribe behaviour that brings them to maturity.
So when do you think a person, because we're all different, aren't we? When do you think somebody is old enough, mature enough to enter into any kind of sexual relationship?
Well, I think at the present time, the standard we have at the moment of around about 16 years of age is still widely accepted in many developed countries around the world. All right, there are some that have been mentioned that drop it a little bit lower, but if you look at their rates of teen pregnancy, for example, they tend to be going up as a result, or at least at the same time as that drop in consent. For many, many developed countries around the world, the age of about 16 is an accepted cut-off point at this time.
I may be wrong here, but isn't it true to say that our teen pregnancy rate is one of the highest in Europe?
It is, yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, and that makes my point. If there is a correlation, as seems to be the case, between dropping consent and rising pregnancy rates in other countries, it would be a mistake for us to do the same thing in the UK, given that we already have an enormously high teen pregnancy rate, which, by the way, is a reflection of the fact that many young people, boys and girls, don't understand the ramifications long-term of what they're doing when they engage in sexual experience.
Is it something to do with our character also, the British character also, in that, in Spain it's 13. Is that something to do with the Spanish character, or is it are we more uptight than others? I mean, I'm just posing that as a rhetorical question almost, but we do seem to have a kind of different attitude, don't we?
Well, Sue, I don't think we are necessarily more uptight. I mean, I'm from Australia. I've lived in Northern Europe for 10 years. I've lived in the UK for 10. I've travelled the world widely. I've worked with young people for more than 30 years. And one thing I do see is that worldwide, pretty much human beings are human beings. And especially in a globalised, media-saturated age where we tend to be exposed to the same images, the same ways of thinking, certain commonalities exist across all cultures. And generally speaking, young people are in formation mentally and emotionally, and they need time to be able to get a handle on what it means to be responsible for their own choices. And in my view, having 3 children that have now grown up, and I'm proud of them, of course, I don't think that occurs at the age of 13.
OK, Mal, thank you very much for that.